Hi everyone, welcome to this podcast. This is Sonal here from Connect Meditation, and I thank all of you who are listening in for your presence out here. Thank you for taking out the time. This podcast is going to be about time management, planning, and organizing skills. So, if that topic interests you, you may like to go ahead and see this particular podcast. There might be a slightly different technique from what we have all pretty much seen in books and management books, etc., which of course have a lot of value, no doubt. But there's another technique that I wanted to share, another thought process that I wanted to share with all of you. But before we go into the topic, I want to share a story. The story is from ancient India. This is a story about a king called Kakudni and his daughter, Princess Revati. So, the king thought that his daughter was very, very beautiful, brilliant, wonderful person. And she was also, of course, of marriageable age. So he wanted to find a suitable groom for her. But when he looked around, he felt that none of the boys, none of the princes in other kingdoms matched. I mean, there were some that he felt were close enough, but somehow he wasn't able to make his decision. So the story goes that he decided to take advice from Brahma, who lived in another dimension called Brahmaloka. I would describe it as a dimension. You could look at it as a dimension, a planet, in whichever way. But Brahmaloka is what it is described as in Sanskrit, which is the ancient language in which this particular story was written. So in many years ago, and even in fact now, there are a lot of Sanskrit speakers in India as well as around in the world. But the texts which were from thousands of years ago were all pretty much in Sanskrit. Not all, but yes, a whole lot of them. So this happens that the king decides that he is going to go and consult Brahma. And he takes his daughter along and they reach Brahmaloka. When they meet Brahma, Brahma tells them something which absolutely is shocking for the king and for his daughter. So what Brahma tells them is that they have both landed in the future. They have traveled many years, exactly the way we know now, which is time travel in space, and how when one comes back, when astronauts come back, they have not aged as much as somebody here on planet Earth in that same period of time. So we know all those differences about time travel, time dilation, time contraction, all those concepts now, of course, science has been telling us. But this is from an ancient time, thousands of years ago in India, in which this particular story was there. So even at that particular point, they had this knowing that time moves differently in different planets, different places in space and stuff like that. So Brahma says to Kakudni, "O king, all those whom you may have decided within the core of your heart to accept as your son-in-law have died in the course of time. 25 Chatur Yugas have already passed." So 24 Chatur Yugas was a term used in ancient India to describe a particular passage of time. Basically, it means 3,000. What he meant was 324,000 years have passed. And therefore, all those whom you wanted to consider as your son-in-law have passed. Not only have they passed, but so have their sons and grandsons and other descendants. In fact, it's such a long time ago. This is that in present times, if you go back on planet Earth, even their names are not heard, in the sense people have long forgotten them in that sense. Now, King Kakudni was overcome with astonishment and alarm at hearing this news, and he became so distressed hearing Brahma's words. So then he asked Brahma, "Can you find a solution to their problem?" So since Brahma was aware of all the other people on planet Earth, he said that if you go back right now, there are these two brothers, Krishna and Balram. Balram could be, according to one version of the story, Brahma said that Balram could be a good groom, and you could consider him. So then King Kakudni and Revati travel back to planet Earth, and they meet Balram and they like him, and the princess Revati is married to Balram. So that's how one version of the story goes. These stories were like from so many years. There are different versions, but this is one version. So the king's problem is solved at the end. The reason I want to share this story is because I wanted to touch upon the concept of time, as of course you would have seen from the title also of this podcast. In modern day times, of course, there have been extremely valuable approaches to time management, to planning and organizing. Like, for example, you may have heard of the Urgent Important Matrix by Stephen Covey. If you haven't, you may like to look it up. It's a quadrant, so it's got like these 4 quadrants. I won't really go into much of detail on that, but if you want, you could just search up on Google. There are many, of course, in his books also, you could pick up wherever that particular model is mentioned. So it's a great tool to have, the Urgent Important Matrix. You may have heard about the 80-20 principle, Pareto's principle. So there are definitely different techniques which we can use in modern day times, which definitely have a lot of value. At the same time, at this particular moment, I want to talk about a slightly more deeper technique. When I say deeper, it talks about not your time, but it talks about managing your energy. In fact, it goes even beyond energy, and it looks at consciousness, it looks at meditation. Of course, we are into meditation. That's something which we're extremely passionate about at Connect Meditation. So if this comes up, I'm sure you will be able to understand why. But this particular technique also is something which you may like to consider, especially if you have tried the other techniques and you still want better results. So this particular technique is about practicing mindfulness. And one of the definitions of mindfulness, which resonate a lot with me, is present moment, non-judgmental awareness. So you just focus on the present moment. And how do you do that? Is you could take any particular object of meditation. So for example, say it's your breath. And you're focusing on the in and the out, and the in and the out. So you're not thinking about the breath, you're just aware of the breath. And since the breath is something which is non-resistant for most of us, and it's easily accessible at any point of time, it's easy to focus on the breath to make it your object of meditation if one would like to. Of course, there are many other objects of meditation which one can have. But say it is on this, and you're so in the present moment. Now, what happens is that when you're in the present moment in a non-judgmental way, so it's just that you're being the silent witness, or as in Sanskrit, it was called as Sakshi Chaitanyam. So you're just being a silent witness, you're just being an observer. You're not thinking, you're not feeling, but you're just observing. So as you do that on the object of meditation, now what is time? Time could be described as, one of the definitions which again resonates a lot with me, is time is the relational difference between 2 points in time. So for example, if you don't have those 2 points, there is no relational difference between them. And when you focus on the present moment, so it's present moment, present moment, present moment, present moment, present moment, you cut across time. There's a beautiful description of this by Ram Dass. If anyone's interested, of course, Ram Dass has contributed so much. One of the most amazing spiritual teachers of our times. And he describes this so beautifully that when you focus on the present moment, present moment, present moment, present moment, you actually are just in the present moment, and therefore there's no relational difference between two moments, and therefore you're able to cut through time, you're able to transcend time. It's not that time is not there, but you are at a different place. You are at that place of pure awareness rather than in this particular time as such between past, present, and future. And of course, in the now, here and now, is where you are. And from this vantage point, when you're in the present moment, what tends to happen is that you actually find yourself expanding time. In fact, an indicator of this, which according to me is an indicator, is that meditation tends to increase your telomeres. So telomeres, if you just search it up, and maybe you already know about it, but in case you don't, you may like to search that up, are like the end points of your DNA. So it's something like if you have a shoestring, at the end you have that hard part. So that hard part is what the telomeres are. And as we age, in terms of number of years in the human body ages, not we, the human body, the age, what tends to happen is that the telomeres tend to decrease. But meditation, regular meditation, even as little as 3 months of regular meditation has known to increase the telomere length. That means even though the body is aging, but you are at a different place. You are at a different place of that inner refuge, that inner sanctuary, that place of pure awareness. And as you practice this day in and day out, depending on, whatever your unique and beautiful path of least resistance is, as you do that, you find these kind of things happening. So that human body actually shows you, this is just one of the things which happen. Of course, there are many, many other things. If you do a little research, your blood pressure levels, your heart rate, the moment you focus on your breathing, you'll find that you start feeling a little calmer, and you can actually, through intention, reduce, focus on it even more and tell your breath to slow down even more, and that thereby has beautiful effects on your body physiology. So coming back to expansion of time, and that's when you find that the kind of ideas which come to you. So if, for example, are from a totally different place, So for example, you have the next 4 hours that you're going to work on a presentation. You will find that the kind of ideas which are coming to you are from such a different place. And again, as per your unique and beautiful path of least resistance, it could manifest earlier for somebody, later for somebody, in bits and pieces. And the suggestion is just to be kind and gentle with yourself. The moment you start keeping score, oh my God, the difference hasn't happened, I'm still doing it the way it was. You tend to actually, the struggle which you introduce tends to put you backwards on that lane, on that path. So the suggestion would always be to be kind and gentle and just savor the journey as it goes. As long as you have the technique in place, the results will come. If the results are not coming, that means there is some kind of a thing happening with the technique, implementation of the technique. And if you ever find something like this, you can always write into us, or you can search it up as to what is really happening, what is implementation, not going as per what you would like it to go, as per the technique. That, because if the technique is being done exactly, if present moment non-judgmental awareness is being practiced the way it is, the technique says it has to be, the results will come as per your unique and beautiful path of least resistance. So as that starts to happen, the ideas which come to you, the impulses which you feel, the inspirations which come to you are from a totally different place. So not only does your body physiology show that, but even your thoughts are coming in, the kind of ideas which come to you are a totally different place. And you find that a task which you were supposed to do in 4 hours suddenly takes much less time for you, because you are in a totally different space of energy. It's something like what athletes call as being in the zone, or being in the flow, which some of us call. So athletes authors, composers, musicians, artists have long known, inventors have long known that until and unless they're not in the flow, nothing really flows. That inspiration doesn't come. So they have their own processes to get into that zone, to get into that flow. Of course, they may be doing all their work. So for an athlete, the athlete would be practicing, would be focusing on the diet, nutrition, etc., etc., etc. But that in the zone is also what is important. And you will actually, if you search up for it, you'll actually find beautiful sharings by athletes. I know that Michael Jordan has a wonderful video on the net on that, and many other athletes, of course, who've been practicing being in the zone, in the flow, and the kind of inspiration, the kind of ideas, the kind of impulses which come from there are in a totally different place. So when you manage your energy, when you try and take out time, as per, of course, like I said, as per your unique and beautiful path of least resistance, but if you do take out time on a regular basis to practice present moment non-judgmental awareness, whether it be in your sitting meditation, which has an amazing amount of value, or it be in different ways during the day, you find out time to just center yourself into a place of pure awareness. So centering is just a technique. It is not the end of it. What happens is, at the end of it, that space which you are able to access or allow, that is what is more important. The technique is just a way to go. So as you center in and you come to that space, when you are in the here and now, you find that the ideas which are coming to you are totally different, and that kind of helps you expand time. So the same things which may actually have taken you 4 hours to do, you find them at a much less time. So you have more time at your disposal, which you can use to any other things that you would like to do. And that also helps in, of course, you're being less overwhelmed, less stressed about time, running out of time, stuff like that. So it has a whole lot of other benefits, of course. But of course, this podcast is only on time. I want to share this technique of how you can actually manage your time not in just a reactive way, but in a proactive way, So you put in the seeds right now, and then just like you plant a plant, and it's not that the day you plant the seed is going to just spring up magically that very moment. Depending on whichever plant it is, it takes time. The gestation period is there. So slowly you will know that as you're putting in the water, you're making sure that it gets sunlight, you're nurturing for it like any other new life in that sense. As you nurture this particular baby steps that one might take, you will find that as per your nurturing, as per your unique and beautiful path of least resistance, those allowings start coming in. And again, if they're not coming in, I would suggest feel free to write into us at Connect Meditation. You can write into me also at Sonal, SONAL, at Connect Meditation, ConnectMeditation.com. Feel free, or you may just like to search it up. There are many other beautiful, wonderful teachers with unique and beautiful perspectives on this same topic. See whatever resonates with you, and my suggestion would be that in case it's not manifesting in spite of your doing the technique, then you may like to just see as to what's happening with the technique implementation per se, because the technique will work. Of course, there are many techniques, so maybe it's another technique which resonates more with you, and one can always choose that. But this is one of the ways that I want to share with you. So manage your energy and not your time. That will happen. And when that happens, and it happens organically, it's so beautiful. And not to say that the models like Pareto's principle, the urgent important matrix are not important, don't have value. They do. But we are trying to go beyond them. We are trying to go to a place which is all encompassing, which encompasses these models. Maybe you feel an inspiration to do these, but maybe you don't. Maybe it's just that you are in such a beautiful in the zone that things just happen and you are like, wow, exactly what the athletes say. So I wish you all the very best. If this resonates with you, I hope you find value as you implement it. If you have any suggestions of your own or any things that you want to share from your own practice about how it's been in your journey, or you have any questions, feel free to write in at sonal@connectmeditation.com. And I wish you all the very best, and lots of love, lots of happiness, and a beautiful day or a wonderful night, whichever part of the world you are in when you're listening to this. Love and happiness for all of you always. Thank you so much once again for tuning in.